There is no such thing as bad people. There are only people who sometimes do bad things. I should never apologize for changing. Recently, I found myself reading international fiction books, and one that I tried reading is the very controversial It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. The novel It Ends With Us focuses on the life story of Lily, who is very determined to live her life on her own terms. What's interesting in this book is that it is meant to display the journey of learning one's true worth and the struggle that many women faced, especially in today's world. It is considered as one of the most powerful books of 2016. I'm a fan of fiction books. Most of what I've read before are written by Filipino authors, but I've also read a couple of ones that are written by international authors. But this one by Colleen Hoover, this is very raw, honest, inspiring, and one of the most beautiful stories I've ever read. It wasn't anything like what I expected, but it delivered like the full book was so much more than I have ever hoped for. But more than ever, one of the major advantages of reading fiction books is that it broadens your imagination and thinking process. And by reading this Colleen Hoover, It Ends With Us, it really did take me into a different world. So if you're interested to know what I learned from the book It Ends With Us, then allow me to introduce myself. I'm Risha. I'm a learning and growth enthusiast. I'm just thrilled to keep sharing what I'm learning, so without further ado, let's keep moving. And to tease you, we've got 5 things I learned from the book It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Let's go straight to number 1. There is no such thing as bad people. There are only people who sometimes do bad things. This is one of the major lessons every Colleen Hoover reader knows when it comes to this novel, It Ends With Us. In most cases, we tend to make the actions that we're doing a self-description. Let's stop with the good people and bad people concept. We are not what we do. We are who we are. We're so much more than our mistakes. So please do not come into a point in your life where you feel like you're a bad person just because you did something ridiculous. We all make mistakes. Once, twice, many times. But that doesn't make us a bad person or any less of a person. Like personally, I don't think there are bad people in this world. Bad are the situations we find ourselves in. Bad are the situations they get themselves into. Bad are the effects of the surroundings to them that pushes them to do bad things even if they don't really intend to. I personally believe that nobody has a bad heart. Nobody is born to do bad things. It's just about the situation. It's just about their environment. Thieves, murderers, or people in prison, do they really know they will become one when they grow up? No. They just got stuck in that situation, and that situation pushed them to do bad things. They're left with no choice, with no other options but to commit that mistake. The bad things that people have caused you, the bad things that people have done to your life or to the people you love, that is what they believe is okay to do. But that does not sum up who they are. But overall, like how it is explained in the book, I believe there are no bad people in the world. Maybe you think there are. I respect that. But I want to live this bubble, because in that way, I could better understand humanity. I told you this is a must-read book. The second thing I learned from the book It Ends With Us is that just because someone hurt you does not mean you can simply stop loving them. This is the part of the book where it will really break your heart. But allow me to explain it in a way that is both relatable to us. When two people break up, our first concept to moving on is you can simply stop loving that person. Our belief revolves around the idea that there should be no love anymore. If someone hurt you, the only way that you could bear the pain is by removing all the love you have for that person. But you have to put in mind that it wasn't just the action of that person that hurt you the most. It's the love. There's love in between it. Even if you move on, you may always carry those feelings for you at any given form. Remember, love does not simply go away just because we want to or even if we need to. Moving on does not mean stopping the love you have for that person or you had for that person, because there's more to that pain you felt. There's love and there's respect. So let's stop with the concept of because you moved on does mean that you don't love this person anymore. Love does not simply go away. Maybe not in a way that you have loved him or her before, but you can just care about that person. You can love him from afar. You can love her from afar. But that does not mean that you haven't moved on yet. Okay, this is getting very personal. So let's move on to the third one. Quitting your job to start your own business is never downgrading. And this is my message to all the millennials out there, to all the adults out there. Quitting your job to pursue a business is never downgrading. This is one of my favorite lessons from this book so far because I think that we have been put in a mold. We have this belief system for millennials, for adults, and people in their 20s that if they do have a secure job, if they are earning enough, that when you have a stable career, when you have a stable life, making a life-altering decision that could put your family, that could put your life at risk is just considered totally nonsense and downgrading. For example, leaving your corporate job to pursue a business or quit your job to pursue being a full-time content creator. Those are just like nonsense and considered as downgrading. But why do we have that anyway? Actually, to support this, I watched a reel by Gary Vee, one of my favorite speaker about business, and he says that we have 3 options.
If you're super unhappy, if you wake up every morning dreading going to work, I would in parallel start creating some options for yourself. You can, while you have that job, start the other thing on the side and let it build, or you can quit and take a lot of risk and start right away, or you can just stay the course and have regret when you're older. That's it. That's it.
And in the book, Lily took the riskiest path available. And it turned out to one of her best decisions ever. So in my opinion, it isn't downgrading. It is never downgrading. It's pursuing your dreams, it's making use of your time, and it's redirection. So do not ever judge those people who quit their job, even if they're earning 6 figures a month, to pursue their dreams. To pursue being a full-time entrepreneur, even if the rate of success is not even 80%. Life isn't just about being practical. Sometimes you have to listen to what your heart burns for. And in this case, I'm very proud of Lily for taking the riskiest path available. Okay, the learning is getting intense. The 4th lesson I want to share is that some risks are never worth taking, especially if these risks have failed you in the past. I would love to talk about how this came up at the book, but that's so spoiler of me. You've got to read it on your own. Basically, I just thought that our generation has been taught to always risk all the time. There's always a limit to every risk that we're taking. You might have heard from me a lot of times before that, oh, risk, because you learn after. You'll grow after. And I'm up for learning. I'm up for growth. But you have to ask yourself, is the risk worth taking? Because sometimes not all risks are worth taking, especially if the bad outcomes outweighs the good. Assess the pros and cons of the situation, because in that case, it will help you make a better decision for yourself and for the people around you. I think the lesson that really stuck with me is we don't have to end up the same person we once were. This lesson from Colleen Hoover reminded me of the people who always tell me, oh, you changed. Of course I did. What am I supposed to do anyway? Stay complacent? Colleen Hoover and Lily's character has put me in a situation where I should never apologize for changing. We should never apologize for changing. Because if you never cringed the actions you did in the past, then you never changed. You never grow. Change is just as natural as life. Well, it's awesome if you change for the better, but you can never blame someone for changing, because that change, it might have been because of a trauma. It might have been because of a painful experience. It might have been because of a happy experience. No one knows. Like what Charles Darwin said, it is not the strongest of the species that survives. It is not the intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. So this is just like a friendly reminder from someone who has just read a fiction book and now telling you that you should never apologize for changing. Respecting your own limitations is a sign of self-respect. These people have no idea that a lot has happened. You changed because you were hurt. You changed because you felt happiness in a different level. It's only you who can judge yourself for the better. There's myriad of things that can affect a person's beliefs, attitude, behavior, feelings, and entire being. Lily has changed so much in the book. And you would agree to me if you have read it yourself. Who she is and what she tolerates had made her bold and brave. I hope you know now that it's not your typical romantic novel. It discusses pain and trauma as well. Upon reading and learning from that book, I realized how vital it is that we stick with our boundaries and we know what we should tolerate in our lives. Because there will be one person or two who will neglect those boundaries you set for yourself. If you're planning to read it, I got mine from Shopee. The link is in the description along with the Amazon link. Thank you for putting up with me up until the end of this video. It has been an amazing talk with you guys and I really hope you got something insightful from this talk. Hopefully more Colleen Hoover lessons in the future, and let me know in the comments if you have read this novel and what are the lessons you learned. Otherwise, tell me if you're going to read this after watching this video. Again, I'm Risha. I'm fascinated about topics related to productivity, growth, and learning in general. So if you're crazy about these topics, I would love it if you consider subscribing to my channel because I will be uploading videos every Saturday, 8 p.m. Bye! Talk to you soon!